Hello fellow Linux gamers and Vikings. This time we are looking at the game Valheim, which is still in early access, but sales have gone through the roof. There are already over 5 million Vikings with close to 350,000 concurrent players. The game is currently the 4th most played Steam game. I take a look at whether the game works on Linux or rather how well it works. Valheim is a multiplayer, exploration and survival game inspired by the Viking culture. Primarily, it's about fighting, building and capturing. Valheim has a huge, procedurally generated game world and different biomes such as forest, swamps, deserts, mountains and oceans. Legendary bosses, creatures and animals must be battled, hunted and tamed. The combat system is a combination of dodging and blocking. And as you would expect for a good survival game, houses, bases, ships, weapons and various items can be built, crafted and modified. Of course, health and food supply also matters, but is not as heavily used as in Ark, Rust or Conan Exiles. Valheim can be played as a single player or as an online co-op, locally or on a dedicated server. Controller support is available and saving to the Steam Cloud is also possible. Currently, the game supports 12 languages, but there is no voice output supported. Only the interface and subtitles are available in the respective language. The minimum system requirements are moderate and should be met with ease, except for Stone Age computers. A 64-bit processor and a somewhat up-to-date Linux version are required. The developer Iron Gate is based in Sweden and is a relatively small indie developer team. That makes it even more amazing what has been achieved so far. The development up to early access didn't take that long, considering that Valheim was first released as an alpha version on itch.io in 2018. I would also like to mention the extremely positive feedback from players. The reviews on Steam so far, which are already over 100,000, are very positive and have been consistently good since the release in early February 2021. Before the installation starts, we will take a look at ProtonDB, where we can see very well if and how well the game runs on Linux based on the user's feedback. Apparently, all players have had a good experience with the Linux version. Of course, performance drops can occur, but this is due to the early development stage or respectively the beta version. Now it's time to download and install the game on Linux. Therefore, we use the standard installation procedure of Steam. While Steam fetches the game data and installs it, let's take a look at my current system configuration. At launch, Steam gives us a choice of whether to launch the Vulkan or the OpenGL version of the game. For the beginning, I choose the Vulkan version. Valheim is initially loaded in windowed mode, but not in the maximum possible resolution. This is easily fixed, and from then on the game presents itself in its full beauty. The start runs more or less smoothly, but not completely fluently. Once the game is loaded, there are only a few smaller stutters. There is certainly still room for improvement, but to be honest, we are still in an early access game. To see how well the game is running, I display some system data using MangoHUD. MangoHUD allows showing the load of the graphics card and the processor, the used RAM and VRAM, as well as the used computer graphics programming interface Vulkan or OpenGL directly in the game. The game settles at around 60 frames per second, which is more than enough for a game like this. The almost nailed down 60 frames per second as a maximum value can have many reasons. A setting in the Nvidia drivers, my old Samsung Sync Master display with a DVI port and a maximum 60 Hz refresh rate, or my DVI to DisplayPort cable. From time to time there is a drop in the frame rate to almost 30 frames per second. However, this happens rather rarely and doesn't disturb the game flow. There are several reasons for this, from the early access version to my system configuration. Most of the time, the game performance is between 50 and 60 frames per second. Valheim is natively supported on the Linux system, so it offers a solid gaming experience. Apart from some occasional stutters and temporary FPS drops, the game runs well and smoothly. There is still room for optimization though, but for an early access game title in development, this is already a decent performance. I had no crashes or other odd behavior while playing. The game runs decently and well playable most of the time. Possibly the feral game mode can still squeeze out some performance reserves, but I deliberately left this aside here to document the native gaming experience. For me, the OpenGL version runs a bit better or more performant than the Vulkan version. Fortunately, we have the choice of which graphics interface we want to use. Overall, a well-rounded experience and a thumbs up for Valheim on Linux.